So for this installment of Readus Reviews, I created a poll on my Twitter account asking which movie you guys wanted me to review. The 2017 live-action adaptation of Ghost in the Shell, or the original 1995 animation. And would you look at that? The original 1995 animation won the poll. I mean, what are the odds? Now before we get into this review, a quick disclaimer. Up until this review, I have not seen or read anything related to Ghost in the Shell to completion. Not the manga, not any of the movies, not any of the anime series. I completely went into this movie blind, which may or may not be a good thing. So now that we have that settled, here's my review of the original 1995 Japanese movie Ghost in the Shell. Oh god. So Major Motoko Kusanagi is a cyborg working for the IBI, the Internal Bureau of Investigations. And the movie basically revolves around her and her team in Section 9 of the Bureau finding what's called the Puppet Master, which is basically a computer virus capable of hacking into other cyborgs and cybernetically enhanced human beings. Because in this universe, it's the year 2029 and it's a thing. A couple of things I can say about the plot is that it's interesting to say the least, and that it's distributed in a very familiar yet unique way. The story wasn't hard to follow, mind you, but there are definitely parts in it that leave you wanting. Which is weird, because there's just so much exposition and explanation over the course of this movie. And it's because of those explanations and that exposition that I actually got a chance to learn who the characters are to a certain extent. Otherwise, if I didn't get that, I probably would have been lost in a couple of places. So with that, let's talk about the characters that stood out to me the most, starting with Major Kusanagi. My overall summary of Kusanagi in this movie is that she left me wanting more of her, but not necessarily in a good way. Like, the only thing that kept me interested about her throughout the film is her mixture of her no bullshit attitude and her genuine curiosity of the Puppet Master. Which over the course of the movie only left me slightly troubled because that's not enough for me to be engaged in a character. And to make matters worse, the woman who dubbed her voice in the 90s cut just sounded dull and uninvested in the entire movie. Which I'm sure I would have had a whole different experience if I watched the sub version of this. Bateau, on the other hand, I felt was much more interesting than Major. His voice actor was more engaged, which caused me to be more engaged with the character. But I do have to admit, there are moments in the movie where his dialogue pacing is a bit rushed for me to absorb it properly. And then there's Togusa, he's just the animated embodiment of the rookie good cop. He's very new to the force, he's very by the book, and it shows in both his animation and his voice work, which I thought was pretty well done. He had moments in some of his investigation scenes that kind of reminded me of Deckard from Blade Runner. And as a group, I felt that these three worked very well together regarding their dynamics. As far as the Puppet Master is concerned, he's just one of the most curious antagonists that I have ever been exposed to. We don't necessarily find out his identity or his motive until the third act, but when the latter is revealed, it still feels a tad bit unclear even after his explanation of the situation. But if it sounds like I'm giving this movie a bit of a hard time, I assure you readers, there are definitely parts of this movie that I like. One is the animation, which I feel still holds up for being 27 years old. This also includes how much detail is put into the characters' movements and the musculature and just everything like that. It's very well done. The background cells throughout this entire movie are fucking beautiful. Like, you can tell that blood, sweat, and or tears have gone into every single stroke of every single pen, every single paintbrush, and every single marker, and every single colored pencil. Also, I felt that the music used throughout the movie worked very well with its corresponding scenes. However, I would have to say that the majority of my nitpicks revolve around the ending of the film. Because the overall ending of the film is the most non-cliffhanger that I have ever seen. Like, I still felt that the plot was somewhat resolved, but the overall ending had me go, wait, that's it? What the fuck? So overall, readers, the 1995 animated Ghost in the Shell movie was weird, but in a good way. I'm glad I saw it. Like the Akira movie, I feel like this was designed for you to want to read the manga in order to get the true resolution of the story. Which in my opinion is great for the manga, but very questionable for a movie that's supposed to be a standalone thing. One could even say that because of this decision, it made the movie as a standalone complex. I'd say that if you want to see some bomb-ass animation and artwork, definitely check out this movie. If you want to get into it for the story, probably read the manga before you decide to give this a watch. So readers, your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comments section below your overall thoughts of the 1995 Ghost in the Shell movie if you've seen it. Was your first time watching it just as confusing as mine? Did it make you interested in wanting to read the source material? Or do you think I get better clarity of the overall movie if I see it's following movie sequels and standalone complex from the beginning? Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.